Okay, folks, how's everybody doing? We'll be starting here shortly. And I just need to clean some stuff up here, and we'll be on our way. Just looking for some windows here. There we go. So, with any luck, we should now be in the cockpit. Hey, so how's everybody doing? Hey folks, who we got in chat? We got a lot of people in chat. I don't really have time to greet everybody, so just make it a general welcome. Let me know if the audio is good, if it's not too loud or too quiet or anything. Audio is good. Press time jump to Friday. Wonderful, thank you guys. Cool. So for today, I was thinking we take it easy as an initial flight, as an initial scoot around the airplane, and we'll do procedures today, which is to say I'll show you all the various little things that we've got going on in terms of procedures. Let me jump out of the airplane here in just a sec. I think the audio will be good, just about there. Let's see, hopefully it's not going to blow out your ears. Okay, we're going to be good, I think. Can you still hear me fine over the aircraft? Maybe like that. Perfect. So, there it is. Is there a lever for two people to stress them? No auto thrust. Well, there might be some code. Hit me up on Discord, we might chat about it. Outside's kind of loud. A bit loud. Okay, well, in that case I'm gonna turn it down like this. What about now? Good stuff. Okay, let me check my voice settings here once more, so nobody can complain that I'm too quiet. There, how about now? Awful stubby. Sorta. Is it short IRL? A pretty big airplane compared to the plane still. Okay, well in that case, I'm gonna turn the airplane down even more. Let me know. Actually, right, I know. Hang on, stand by. We're gonna just do it like this for the time being. You know what I'm gonna do this. Stand by for just one sec. We'll be on our way in a moment. There we go. Hope this is a little bit better. Test. Okay, yeah, it's a lot. There we go. It should be a good 15 dBs quieter than me at this point. Perfect. Thank you very much for checking. I appreciate all the feedback. Okay. Is the airplane this stubby? It's actually a pretty big aircraft. It's just wide. It's a very, very wide cabin. That's the reason why it looks stubby. It's pretty long. It's, you know, something like 65 feet long, 20 meters. It's just a very wide cabin. And we'll be taking a look in the cabin tomorrow, okay? Got your yes sir. Looks like a sausage with wings. And of sorts. So, actually, I want to turn on some lighty lights here. Flight a couple hours, you'll love the looks. Yes, sir. Or man. Cool. So, there it is. Bigger in every way. Quick look in sort of a dark out state. Let me actually turn on a couple more lights. Why the hell not? We got lights. Might as well turn them all on. So yeah. We got lights galore. So, make it a little bit brighter so we can actually see what we're doing. And so what I wanted to do, got lower with her already. Yes, absolutely. So what I wanted to show you today is we're gonna do some trips around the block. So to get that done, we're at Medford. This is Orbex True the Earth, Oregon, I think HD. So lights have lights. Yes, indeed. Cool. Let's get this thing organized. So it's just going to be a very quick flight. One very important thing to remember, as this is compared to Captain Sim. Not even a comparison. One important thing, if you want to clear out a flight plan, or anytime you load up the airplane, you always want to make sure you've got your correct database selected. And one way to quickly clear out anything you've got entered in the box is just to go index status, pick up the secondary flight plan, throw another first. It's gonna think a little bit, and they'll all swap eventually. If we bring up the other one here, you'll see it's a slightly delayed. They have to kind of crosstalk to change to each other. There's number 1, 2, and number 3 is also gonna be on the correct database. So now we have no flight plan. And to get a flight plan in, we're just gonna quickly bash one in there. We're gonna go to Medford, from Medford to Medford, depart arrive, runway 32, Route 7, cutter transition, and you can pop these out. Let me actually make it a little bit larger so you can see a little bit better. So I'm gonna make it graphics 150%. And if this is the range knob, it's the inner one here. Let's compare it to flight model of this plane, MSFS 2020. Well, hopefully a lot better. Now you can see it's bugging me. The FMS knows when you don't execute a change, it starts bugging you so that you don't think that you've actually implemented a change. You've only prepared it. It's in the modified flight plan. So execute, makes it solid, message goes away, flight plan is current. We're gonna go and do a quick pre-flight setup. I know it's 12 degrees outside, and thanks for the follow. Who is that? I'm sorry, I can't see your name on here. I'll fix that up real quick. Labs. Sorry for all the followers that I'm not acknowledging. I'll be with you in just a sec. Alrighty. Third follower, my word. So Martyr 2018, thanks for the follow. Fuchs DE, thanks for the follow as well. And Gabe Donate, thanks for the follow. Welcome, welcome. And Michu 26 also followed just a little while ago. Perfect. Sweet. So 12 degrees OAT, that initializes the auto throttle system. It needs a temperature. Perfinet, Nados TV, thanks for the follow. Welcome, welcome. We're going to go up to 10,000 feet on this short little hop, execute that change, and I have about 6,300 pounds of gas in the tanks, no passengers, no cargo. I'm going to go clear this out. That takes the sensed fuel from the tanks. This is going to give us a good set of weights and speeds for takeoff. And Nevada Rock 75, thanks for follow. Okay, send that data over to the PFD. It appears here. And we are ready to rock and roll. I'm gonna immediately roll up my altitude pre-selector here up to 10,000. Select the speed up to 200 knots. I'm looking at the HUD here, or you can look at the PFD right there. Obviously, we have synthetic vision, and yes, it does draw the numbers just using straight up vector lines. That's how the real thing works. I'm gonna mash. DM. Thanks, auto thrust. I'll get to you after stream. We'll mash this button here. That's the toga. So that activates takeoff guidance mode, but doesn't actually initiate auto thrust yet. It will be once we either advance the power past about 70% N1, or I can just push ATS here. That's the same thing. Alrighty, with that out of the way, I'll just go ahead and quickly mash ATC here to turn on my transponder. So it's now TARA. All good. I actually don't need terrain on that other display there, so I'm gonna mash terrain. There we go. Cleared that out. You set everything to kg. Yes. Correct, Doc 3. Yes, it's settable in the airplane. I've currently got it set because I'm in the US, but yes, you can. And you can have a V-bar auto flight director, but we'll get to that in a sec. Okay. Rock and roll. Just one more mode. I'm gonna pre-arm LNAV here. So now I have takeoff LNAV arm altitude select mirrored here on the PFD on the HUD, and obviously on the first officer's side it's gonna be LNAV 2. And with that, we're almost ready to go. Just gonna turn on the pitot heats or probe heats, windshield, and with that our CAS here is clear. All the other messages here are exactly what we expect. So, go ahead and mash down on my brakes, release the parking brake, which is back here. Oxycon the way. Thanks for the follow, welcome aboard. So, brakes are released. Airplane's gonna, you see that the airplane usually rolls away on its own under idle thrust, so it does have enough idle to push itself forward. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and mash ATS here. We're looking for 90.4 on the N1 before 80 knots. So ATS, lights go on. I'll give it a little bit more trim up, about 5.8. Okay, and there we go. Thrust is achieved. 80 knots. Goes into N1 hold. V1, rotate. You don't want to ream on the yoke, just a gentle but deliberate pull back will get you there. There we go. For actually 200 feet, it goes into 240 feet, it goes into LNAV, and now I'm just following the guidance here in the flight path vector. That's the HUD, or you can go and use the flight director as you would normally do. For the 1,000 feet, I'm just going to go ahead and activate the autopilot just so I unload myself a little bit here. And yeah, we're underway. Pretty easy takeoff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the nose here just using pitch mode a little bit to give the back-facing passengers a little bit more comfort. I'm going to accelerate. We're above target speed, so we can go ahead and select the flaps up. And if we bring up the flight plan here, you can see it's already predicting our top climb there, because we're going to do a procedures here around Medford. That was a very smooth autopilot activation. Do we have a destination? NATO's TV. We're going to go back over to Medford here. We're going to try some procedures. These are introduction streams. We're not actually going to fly A to B. I want to show you all the features and all the pretty stuff that the airplane can do. I'm going to go up to 250 knots here. Okay, here we go. Intercept. I'm not actually climbing as hard as the airplane could. So we're into the climb, so I'm just going to go here, select climb power. Their price yet. Not quite yet certified bot track. We'll announce it soon, but not today. Okay, and when it blinks here, it means it's within about 10 seconds of sequencing. There we go, next waypoint. There's 1,000 feet. Altitude select capture. Can you fast crank dials? No, the slick one. You have to use mouse wheel, but we do have mouse acceleration. So this is me literally just cranking my mouse wheel over a couple of times. And I can easily go to very high or very low numbers. Okay, so here we are, 10,000 feet. I'm going to take the landing lights off. Blick 2512, welcome aboard. I'm going to go a little bit faster here since we got, you know, places to be, things to do. So I'm just going to accelerate it to 300 knots. It's going to get fairly loud in the cockpit at very high speeds. So we have our headset here, trusty headset to quiet down the audio. It doesn't just quiet down, it actually, you know, changes the frequency response and everything because we're simulating an actual active ANR headset. Alrighty, so cranking over here on the arc. That's just a departure DME arc. And for a lightweight, here's about fuel burn. We have rich guys in the back. Yeah, indeed. Okay, so for a starter, we're just going to go ahead and do an ILS approach. Just a conventional, you know, nothing special ILS approach. For that, I'm just going to go in here, depart arrive, and it automatically knows when I push the button, it automatically selects based on what phase I am, where it's going to show what's going to show me. It's either going to show me a departure when I'm on the ground, the arrival back to my departure airport if I'm sort of within the departure point, or if it expects basically I'm going to turn back, and then it shows me the destination arrivals when I'm within my destination. So now it's showing me my destination airport arrivals. So I'm just going to go ILS 14. We're going to go from. Actually going to make this a little bit larger so you can see on here. I'm actually using the first officer's MFD for this. Might be a little bit, you know, annoyed by that, but whatever. Sammy. I'm within 2 minutes of the last waypoint on the flight plan. That's what it's telling me, you know, hey, last waypoint. Okay, and we can close up the discontinuity here. If I just do this, we're within 2 minutes of sequencing into a discontinuity, so it's warning me, hey, discontinuity. So I can either do a waypoint drag, or I can go ahead and clear delete that. Both do the same, and they link up cutter to Sammy, so that's what we're going to do. Alright, and with that, messages go away. It's happy again. I can check on here what my landing weight is going to be, 33.4. I'm actually going to slow down here again, because we are about to start the descent here pretty soon. You can see already on here, it's showing the TOD point, the top of descent point. Certified bot frag, you're not going to probably find much more accurate than this. Okay, so getting close. I'm just going to do some quick performance calculations for the approach. So we're going to go here into approach. I know it's 12 degrees at the field. It's already pre-filled all of our arrival data from the flight, from the procedure. But if I wanted to, I could land it, give it a different runway. I could give it a manual runway length, anything like that. Many of these fields are editable. Okay, so we're going to be landing at a weight of 33.4. It's really close enough, but I'm just going to manually, you can enter your landing weight manually in here. That forces it to recompute a new value. I'm happy with that. Send that in, and it's all good. And you can also, obviously, when you come in here, display menu, this now controls what's displayed on the MFD here, so I can, for example, get rid of some info if I don't want to have it all cluttered up. Okay. Since I selected my approach, it's an ILS approach, you'll see this, what they call the ghosted localizer. The FMS automatically, when you're within 30 miles of the destination airport, pre-tunes your arrival field. I'm actually going to start slowing down here a little bit more. And it's getting ready for the transition to conventional ILS guidance. Right now we're on pink needles here, is what they call it. That means FMS. Whenever there's pink here, that means FMS guidance. ExecJet, a Canadian company. I don't know if they are a Canadian company. I don't think so. Alrighty. So, I'm waiting. See, it's showing TOD here and on the PFD and on the HUD. You can, by the way, take the HUD away. If you don't want it, I just click on the arm here, put the HUD away. And we're within 10 seconds, 5 seconds. I'm going to pre-select my selector down so we can actually start our descent here. And I didn't arm VNAV. There we go, VPath. I forgot to push the button here. This should have been on. I forgot to. You have to basically opt in to VNAV. Obviously, it won't do it on its own. That'd be a that'd be a potential violation of an ATC clearance. So the airplane will not descend on its own. Now I'm still on pink needles. Let's say that we got cleared for the approach by ATC. So we're coming in here. If you were just trying to do a 100-degree intercept onto an ILS, you would almost certainly overshoot. So the FMS can guide us first in FMS guidance, and then it'll swap over to ILS guidance when we're within the limits. To authorize it to do that, we'll push the approach button here, and you'll see it now says approach localizer 1 glide slope armed. So these are in white, and they're in small type here on the HUD to tell you these are now the armed modes. We're still being guided by the FMS, but still LNAV VPath. But as soon as we're within range, when this starts to centralize, the ghosted localizer starts to centralize, it's going to start, it's going to swap us over to green needles, is what they call this. It's called automatic nav to nav transfer. So it's automatically going to go from FMS nav to localizer nav. And it's also going to change up here. The FMS takes care of that, all of this for us automatically. If we, for whatever reason, wanted to change guidance modes manually, we can go in here and push the nav source here for the left side, nav source here for the right side. There we go, 1,000 feet to go to 7,000. 5 seconds to sequence. You can, by the way, shrink the yoke here if it's in your way. Notice here that it's starting to steer onto the localizer, even though we're not yet, it's not deflecting or centering yet. That's because the FMS will steer us as long as we're, on FMS LNAV guidance. It'll use the LNAV data to get us on there. I'm actually going to continue on down, since the next cleared altitude here is 5,700. And there we go. Localizer starts to centralize. The FMS has noticed it, and it swapped both sides immediately over onto the localizer guidance. So now we are approach localizer, glide slope. Now this is just a reminder, when you have glide slope, when you're on GS mode, you'll notice there's no more armed Alt S. So there's no more altitude select capture. It's neat that the ghosted localizer follows the standard of cyan is orange. Yeah, and essentially, yeah. See, so now we're happily float through the altitude pre-selector because we have selected, we are on glide slope mode, which doesn't stop there anyway on the pre-selector. Okay. Alrighty, so we're gonna go and pre-select our missed approach altitude, which I can bring up here. I'm on the right hand side. I currently have a bunch of data selected. I can change this up here to whatever I want, but I can also go to charts. So it knows that I'm at Medford. I'm just going to go and quickly swap over to the approach chart.
2,500.
We have obviously georeference charts. I'm going to go and roll some flaps out, get us down to speed 160. So to get our bearings a little bit, we are missed approach to 6,600. I should have pre-selected my minimums is 1503, so 1510. The way you set minimums is using this here panel. Go to refs and roll it in. So there's also acceleration on this knob here, so it doesn't take nearly as many twists as you might think. Refs are set. Should have done that way early, but we're sort of messing around with the plane. It's nothing too serious here. Okay, I'm gonna take flaps 30. Gear down. I'm gonna take the headset off here, get audio. Alrighty, and we're gonna wait for, so we're within, 7 miles or 8 miles currently of the field. We're gonna keep 160 to about 4 miles, pretty typical. And here we go. First officer can monitor our approach. Let's centralize this. And missed approach, just a quick reminder. It's our flyover, J lock, right turn, back to Pumi, and hold. And we're going to only take it down to minimums, and I'm going to actually show you a go-around. Because we have a go-around, we have an automated first officer who can help you throughout the entire flight. Any chance we can see the liveries that come with the default, hoping for a UK registration. Matson pilot, currently we only have one livery in the airplane, but we're going to put in more, and it's basically in the coming days. And we're also going to have a paint kit available for you. And there we go, just coming up on 4 miles. So I'm going to slow down to VREF +5. And as soon as we get to about 150 knots, I basically want to build a little bit of buffer here between the nose and the flight director, or the flight path vector. There we go. Flaps 45. And by the way, the registrations on the airframe are editable. Yes, you can set your own Matson pilot on this thing as well. Yes, and then ask CL650 pilot here, welcome him. Whenever you see CL650 pilot in the chat, listen to everything he says, because he flies this airplane in real life. He's our primary consultant on the airframe here. So he definitely knows his stuff. He's been flying Challengers for quite a while, so he is an expert on this. What's Toto's GPU and CPU, please? It's a Ryzen 3700X and a GTX 3060 Ti, and I'm running 4K. Okay, 1,000 feet, and we'll take some lights as well. Probably that would have been a good idea. We got that. Cool. And as soon as I push, can we see the approach without a HUD? Sure. Let's get rid of the HUD. I'm gonna make it larger so you can see what's going on the PFD here. I can see it myself, but you know, I've got a 4K screen, so that's kind of cheating. The HUD you can pack away if it's in your way.
500.
And this is sort of the AOA that we're looking for. Here's the AOA indicator. Just under 6 is perfect approach AOA. Okay, as we come close to our minimums here, I'm going to push Toga, and I'm going to disconnect the ATS. The auto thrust is not authorized for use on a go-around. And then I'm going to tell the first officer to start the go-around procedure.
Minimums.
There we go. I'm going to give the throttles a bit of a push. Set go-around thrust. Go-around thrust set. Positive rate. Flaps 20. I'm telling him to basically perform procedures. I apologize, it's my voice, so it's a little bit confusing, I guess. Gear up. That's just me giving him commands, just using the checklist confirm key. And I'm just focusing on flying the flight director
Flaps
here.
20 indicated. Set FMS nav.
I'm going to swap over to FMS.
Gear up indicated.
And flight level change 200.
Set FLC 200 knots.
There we go. I'm still flying, focusing on flying here. I'm not trying to focus on the systems, just following the flight director here. Okay, I've got the airplane roughly where I want it. I'm going to take manual control of the throttles here to produce a little bit of power. Okay, I'm happy with where we are. Airplane's trimmed. Get the autopilot in, auto thrust in, and we're just going to let it do its thing. There we go. Turn around, you'll notice it's more than 180 degree turn, but the airplane, the FMS doesn't understand that this needs to be that needs to be a right turn, so we will not, you know, turn the wrong way. Obviously, that'd be bad. And what I can do, I'm going to turn on VNAV mode here. It does support VNAV climb, and I'm going to go into perf, resume 230 knots. So I'm basically going to give speed control to the FMS, and I'm going to retract the last stage of flaps. Now we should be golden. I want a coffee can exhaust. No weather radar upon release. No. Yeah, it has stripes that adds. So here's our little jet doing a flyby. You saw there, no drama. You don't have to overload yourself, you know, focusing on flying the airplane, or focusing on doing systems changes and auto throttle changes and that kind of stuff. And just fly the airplane and just tell the first officer to do one step at a time. I've got it bound to control space on my keyboard, but you can bind it to a joystick key or whatever you want. Copilot Toto has saved my many times. Will the update be free once XP12 comes out? How about TBM 900? Certified bot frag, yes and yes. Both the TBM and this are going to get free updates. Okay, so this is a bit of a weird procedure in that they want us to fly a fixed heading, but there's, like, at this kind of a heading, we're not actually going to correctly intercept a leg, and it wants to intercept a radial from a heading. So I'm just going to go do a direct here. And it's a weird procedure the way it's coded in the database. So we can go direct OED here. You can do direct either by dragging the point up to the second line, not the first, the second line here, onto the magenta, which is your 2 line. You can go direct key here, that, execute, and it'll take us direct to that OED waypoint. Aerodoc 3, not quite the same. It'll be something there, but it's not. You don't operate these jets in terms of maintenance the same way as you would a personal, you know, little airplane. You just show us an auto land. 19 Aussie 81. The business jets generally don't have auto land, including this one. So there is no auto land to show you. Bind a Copilot function to a joystick key and he does all the other things. Yes, pretty much, Nevada rocks. They currently have stopped him, or basically didn't trigger the very last action.
Ready for immediate return checklist.
By telling me this, it's telling me that essentially it's ready to start doing checklists for me again. So it was in kind of a auto procedure mode, and then we're back on the checklists. And Total simulated almost every option, but all land is not offered. Yeah, Captain Crash, I don't think even any jets offer really auto land at this point. Or, I'm sorry, business jets. Maintenance menus in one of the streams. Evident Snow, there is, it doesn't have quite the same maintenance menu, maintenance system. On a business jet or on a sort of a bigger jet, you don't, you know, care for individual items. These things are usually managed by holding companies or management companies. And so we didn't bother, you know, recreating trillions of little computers that you replace, because realistically, as a pilot, we're doing a pilot simulation. And while on a TBM, pilots are usually the owners, on a business jet, that's typically not the case, and definitely, yeah, on approach, it's only 80 feet, and then you have no Cat 3, correct, Gustino, it's Cat 2 manual land only. Green flashing of XP11 with AMD. Iron Condor maybe. AMD GPUs. It's the thing is that artifact is not really a function of the add-on. It's more of a bug of the driver and how X-Plane interacts with it for add-ons that do custom drawing. Looking forward to PM pod. Thank you. So here we are in the hold. It's gonna say here hold. That, you know, it's just doing a parallel entry, so it's turned itself parallel to the inbound course. Gonna come out and back in. You've seen me do holds in this thing. It obviously can do holds. If you want to create any custom holds, you do it here, you know, active, new hold, blah, blah, blah. You can edit a hold and blah. Do all the usual hold editing features you would expect. Any plans for an ATR? Generally, no. So, yeah, let's do another approach. Can you create pilot waypoints? Yes. Yes and yes. Certified bot frag. Yes, you can create what you're talking about is offsets. So if we were en route, we're currently in a terminal procedure, so it doesn't show up here. But if we were on the en route portion, I might show that to you when we, I'll try and construct something along the way as we divert to another airport. It would show offset here. You can enter an offset, and you can also enter pilot defined waypoints. So I don't know, OED, I don't know, 350, 20. That'd be a place bearing distance. That's just me entering a custom waypoint here. Yeah, pretty much. As long as the real thing can do it, we can do it as well. There's very few things that are not exactly the same, including secondary flight plans does have that too, obviously. Same as default with XP11, so FMS plans directory and so on. 19 Aussie 81, yes, and we do support reading X-Plane default file formats. What is the format to enter a lat long? The stick one, it's essentially, let me see, it's like 50 north, 45 east, or something like that. I don't remember the exact format. There's a bunch of them, actually. Are the CBs functional? Quite, yes. The entire aircraft is simulated down to almost the wire. So there's a whole bunch of study menus under here that I haven't shown you guys. You know, you've seen them in development streams, but we haven't shown them on this stream here. The company route function. Alex G. Hill, you download the route from either SimBrief, or you can do a load from a file. Essentially kind of a company route function. And yeah, so if you want to pull, here we go. So these are individual electrical buses, the AC network, DC normal network, DC essential network, and you can see if you click on any of the buses here, you can see what's on there. And yes, you can see the individual breakers, and it also gives you a location for the breaker. So for instance, CB5B1, that's in the nose compartment, so we can't get to that currently. But is this real? Well, it's reasonably real, I guess. So say for instance, we wanted to kill the APU battery charger, which is located at, let me actually find the guy. We're in the hole, so we can play around with it a little bit. APU battery charger is on CB2C2, so that'll be, I'm just looking for the location in the cockpit. We'll press this down a little bit. So CB2 panel is over here. C2 is over here. APU battery charger. Pull the guy. APU battery charger is now depowered. And the APU battery charger goes over, it kind of jumps away from the network and comes out here. APU battery charger output goes in there, and here's the APU battery. If I repower the APU battery charger, let me show you on the system synoptic here. We can come up and show an overlay on the map here. If we press DC electrical, you see here we got the APU battery, 26 volts. Watch what happens when I pull the APU battery charger. The 26 volts is essentially generated by the charger itself, right? As soon as I pull the charger, it's going to drop down to the battery's base voltage, which is about 24, 25 volts, give or take. That's also going to give me a charger off. APU battery charger fail. Yes, there is a ginormous failure menu, which is, you can access it just by going to the flight edit failures menu here. MELCDL procedures as per the books. Pretty much Moscow 76. There's a ginormous failures menu here, which is organized by ATA chapter. And for a lot of these, for instance, if you go here, fuel, 28 fuel, you've got sub-tabs for them. So for the storage system, engine feed system, motive flow system, fuel transfer system, refuel, defuel, and the sensors. We've got lights. You can fail essentially any light in the cockpit here that you want. That's a great time. Navigational system, so air data probes, air data computers, EFIS. Say for instance we wanted to simulate a ADC-1 failure. Quite easy to do. Just go ahead and kill it, or you can set a number of trigger conditions. So let's just go ahead and kill it. Yeah, click. Autopilot's a little bit unhappy about it, but it's still flying. And let's kill the ATS. There we go. Also disconnect the left yaw damper. I'm just going to transfer over to the other side autopilot, and I'm going to kill the ADC again. There we go. All is well. Ceiling altitude, it's 41,000 feet. Am I still flying, hopefully, on the procedure? Oh yeah, there we go. Right turn starting. And I can recover my air data computer by switching my left side over to ADC2. It'll give me an amber ADC2 caution there. And we recover ATS. There we go. Auto throttle system has recovered. So, there we go. We're back in business. There are no random failures, no. We can clear any triggered failures, and you can also save and load scenarios. So you can basically save the state of the pre-selections and stuff and create custom scenarios. Anyway, sort of falling behind schedule here. So I'm going to return this back to both, or norm. I'm going to return the left. Currently we were flying on the right autopilot. I'm going to return you back to the left side. And I'm going to turn on yaw damper 2, because that one disconnected when the autopilot lost the ADC inputs. So it's over here. Push 80 yaw damper 1, and yaw damper 1 is back online. Neat. As if ANP is less NC. CMB Aviator, yes we can. Is this EGLC capable? 19 Aussie 81, currently not. It requires an SDC installation, which we don't simulate at the time. But we'll add it a little bit later. Does it have wing flex? Actually, I don't think it currently has. I don't think we've modeled that yet. It's a pretty thick and stiff wing anyway. Okay, let's do another approach. So I wanted to do one, which is, let's see, RNAV 32. This is an RMP-AR approach from, was it Bates? Yeah, I think Bates. Let me just check if it's the right one. Yes, it is. So that's the one I wanted to fly. Neat stuff. So let's go ahead and we're going to go direct to Bates. Right from the hold here. Execute. I'm going to reload the new chart. And we're going to do an RMP-AR curved approach. How do the navgraph charts load in? Well, you have to link up your account, NADOS TV. Question, CL... Flying Woozle, the CRJ was derived from the Challenger 600 series, so the other way around. First came the Challenger, then the CRJ. Yes. The FAA charts are free, but they're not geo-referenced. Hello El Toro, it is not Cat 3, it can only do Cat 2. And you see the FMS automatically sped up to 250 knots because of the fact that we've, when we are out of the hold, and the hold speed limit at this altitude was 230 knots. So we are now below 10,000, so it just basically sped up to 250 knots. What does the real thing show instead of navgraph charts? Village, it shows JEP charts, which is the same charts. Yeah, that's why my dad hates working on CRJs. Weren't really built to be airliners. Sort of, yeah. For this RMP, can you kill some satellites with the debug menu to show us? Does it have rain icing effects? A Nevada Rock 75 will probably add that before release, but I can't make promises yet. Forest in the sky, I don't think so. And I don't think they care. Yeah. Jeppesen charts are what Navigraph uses, and this uses Navigraph, so this is Jeppesen charts, same as the real thing. In fact, we replicated the shape of the airplane symbol here. The color is really this puke green. It really has that thick black outline. So yes, that's pretty close. Yeah, I need to climb for the approach, huh? I'll go up to 10,000. It's kind of low. Want to see a high power climb the way they shouldn't be doing it? Here, let's go flight level change, and you'll see the auto thrust comes on real hard. Generally, they don't climb this way to make it a little bit more gentle. But if we go and just bash on the auto thrust, just go flight level change. Would I be able to link jet charts? Probably not, Moscow. There's very few people who have those, so we generally... I don't think jet even allows you to do that. There we go. That was 3,000 feet dealt with in a hurry. Probably did like 6,000 feet per minute or more. Fly by, please. I'm happy to oblige. And the landing light flash. You mean pulse mode? Yes, it does. Yes, it does have pulse mode. NATO CV doesn't have an auto brake. Yes, Takeoff Singer. The synthetic vision will cut out if you go, I think, below 60, beyond 60 degrees pitch, roll, and at plus 30 degrees pitch. Okay, so 250 knots. We've got our top of descent just ahead of NIG here. I think there are speed constraints on the procedure here. If I go and you can see those speed and altitude constraints on the display. 210 9100. I'm just going to leave the speed control under FMS guidance. You'll see that when it turns magenta here on pre-selector, that means it's under FMS control. Can you arm spoilers? Yes, they're already armed. Does synthetic vision have an impact on performance? Not really. I'm running 45. Well, it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of changing because I'm maneuvering. But in general, no, synthetic vision doesn't really affect it. I've written the synthetic vision system efficiently enough that generally don't feel it. You're an FCOM 1-2. FX plane. Moscow, you should probably... there's a site, Smart Cockpit. It does have a Challenger 605 FCOM, I think, on it, but generally no. Very complicated to use compared to airliners. Will there be a document explaining? DMB Aviator, yes, we will produce a quick start guide, but it's really not complicated. It just looks initially... It just looks a little bit daunting at first, but it's really very simple. It's nowhere near as complicated as it might seem. You'll see how it starts, how it'll slow down. You'll see how it starts slowing down. When we get close to the waypoint here, Omaka, with the speed constraint, it's going to start pulling back the pre-selector. And that's how the avionics slows down. So it doesn't do like an idle descent like an Airbus. It doesn't do a level off to decelerate. Rather, it just kind of, there you go. See, it starts pulling back on the pre-selector when it gets within range, and then it expects the ATS to follow it. Smart Copilot compatible. Not right now, Fuchs BE. What's the MMO VMO? Max Mach is Mach 0.8. I'm sorry, 0.85. Yeah, that's basically... And WebFMC is already compatible with this. Yes, we have done the work early on with them, so yes. Go to RAT. Boboy 7044 would kind of break the flight if I deployed the ram air turbine, because you'd hear it whizzing away all the time. So I'm not going to do that today. We might get to that. We can do that on Wednesday. Yeah, basically YOLO's the deceleration. So as I get close, I'm in VNAV mode, so V Alt S. As I get to within 1 minute, you'll see they call a snowflake appear on here. Inform me of the descent. I'm actually going to pre-select my minimums as well. 1609, we're actually RMP 0.3, so 1661, 1670. Go to refs. Just going to roll this up a little bit. There we go, 1670. Minimums are pre-selected. Descent is just short on IG here, and you can see if I bring the range down a little, so it draws it a little bit more clearly. It obviously can do descents along curved paths as well. This is actually a very expensive feature from Collins to have on your avionics. It costs several $100,000 to have RMP AR approach capability. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to arm approach mode here. So I'm going to push approach. It's going to say RMP AR arm. That means it's getting ready to do a curved descent, curved final descent. I can't thank you enough for developing a long-range jet to this level of detail. Well, hope you're gonna have fun with it. So I'm gonna turn on lights here permanently, or full. Yeah. How many streams will there be until release? EI Birch, I'm gonna do 3 days of streaming here in the coming days. So today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. And after that, on Thursday, it's going to be opened up to third-party streamers, so they can go ahead and... is there pulse lights? Another question. Yes, there is. Right there. Did you change the pre-selected altitude? Yes, I should, and that's what I wanted to show you. See, it's showing the snowflake here. Top of descent in white. And pretty soon, if I don't do anything here, if I just sit here, it's going to start blinking message and says check altitude select. So it's basically reminding me I want to change the pre-selector, otherwise it's not allowed to descend. Cool, Jake Rouse. Sorry, I had to clear my throat there. Neat. Does it see? Yes, it does, James, EGCC. Not immediately on release, but we'll have it in there. Okay, so as we get 5 seconds to top of descent here, see snowflake starts coming down, and pretty soon we're going to get VPath, altitude select. And so now it's complying with any constraints that we've got in here, 7,800. I've currently got my pre-selector set equal to or higher than the constraint, so it's shown Alt S in white. But if I make the pre-selector lower than a constraint, you'll see it shows Alt V, which means, you know, we're going to be on VNAV constraints. I trust the avionics since I wrote it, so I'm just going to pre-select it down to my last descent point, which is 2,600. So I've got 2,600 in there. Yes, CBDLC fans. Is it possible to change kilograms to and millimeters? Yes. Get ants, yes and yes, both. I can show you kilograms. You have to shut down the airplane because it's a matter of program pinning on the FMC, so it's changed through some menus when the airplane's shut down. But I can change the altimeter units right away. So if we click on the screw here, it pops out this panel. Got a menu, shows up the master PFD menu. Roll down to config, push select, and here we go. You can toggle between inches and hectopascals right here. I messed up my altimeter pre-select here. Synthetic vision can be toggled on and off. Yes, that too. Practical use of N2 sync, I'm not sure, to be honest. It's implemented, but I haven't found a reason to use it. I don't think any of our real-world pilots have ever really used it. But yes, you can turn off synthetic vision like so. And you can also turn off if you don't want the synthetic vision and flight path vector as well. turn on synthetic vision, flight path vector comes on automatically. In fact, I have synthetic vision disabled on the right-hand side. But the right-hand side can also have synthetic vision on it if you want it. Funnily enough, there's actually only one computer that generates the image. So the image is always, even in the real thing, that's just one image shared between the two sides. Yeah. So I'm going to slow down to 180 here. A little bit clear up. You'll see here, Alt V, we're right on the money. You want to see, there's still an RMPAR arm. This is going to go to APPR APPER when we get to the final approach point. And we're currently still not on the final approach point or segment. That's the Kumba. When we're inbound to Kumba, past Urba, inbound to Kumba, it's going to swap to final approach guidance. This is going to change from VPath to glide path, VGP. And that means it's not going to stop at a pre-selector. What's the current AMP? Actual navigational precision, probably fairly high. Let me try and remember how I did that, how to do that. There we go. Required nav, currently estimated position uncertainty is 0.01. If we killed GPS now, which we can, let's just for funsies do that. It's under failures, 34 nav, GPS, and I can kill the receivers. Yeah, let's do that. Let's kill the receivers. So GNSS not available. And it's going to flash no APPER at me. That's basically telling me I'm not supposed to be doing this approach without GPS. It does require that. Because I'm on an RMPAR approach. Those are GPS required. Is the paint kit ready? It will be released, but probably not immediately on release, on initial release. I'm still waiting for a GPS signal to reacquire here. Kind of being a little bit naughty. There we go, RMPAR ARM. And we're back in EPU. G means GNSS. What about SBAS and GBAS? It does have SBAS, not GBAS. I'm gonna have to focus a little bit on flying here. I'm gonna get some flaps out. And Missed Approach is straight ahead and then right arc turn. You're gonna see that when we go into Missed Approach, this is gonna change from APPER to MA. You'll see. Okay, and I'm gonna slow down even more. 160. Actually, 160 is good, but I'm gonna take flaps 30, gear down. Okay. There we go. Glide path arm, VGP. I'm gonna take HUD. Why not? It's there. It's functional. Rock and roll. So now it says RMPAR approach. APPER. That means it's not going to stop at the pre-selector. I'm just going to set my Missed Approach, which is 9,000. Real Cheeseburger, thanks for the follow. Welcome aboard. 9,000 is set. I'm going to start slowing down here to final approach speed. That is 130. Can you show the GPS menu real quick? Soon, I'm kind of busy right now. Captain Netflix, welcome aboard. Possible to remove the HUD. The crew HUD, I just put it down just so you can see it. So yeah, there it is. If you don't want it there, you can get rid of it. Okay, and as we close down below 1,500 feet with gear down, flaps full, you'll see this is going to get removed. It's going to declutter automatically. It's already given us in full config. It's going to give us the approach reference. So it's removed the 5-degree down pitch marker, replaced it with the approach pitch marker. We got on the synthetic vision, we got the extended runway center line, and there's a runway itself. We can check our performance of how closely we are guiding. Cross track or 1 foot on a vertical path. Sakura Hana, if you don't want it there, just just, you know, close it out. Yes, it is an option, but I mean, if you're not looking through it, it's not even in your field of view. Who's to say it's there? You can pull the breaker for it if that also helps. Not tempt you. Alrighty. So here we are, pretty much on center line, and it's gonna slowly scoot us back over to the center line. We're just a few meters off. The airplane slowly guiding on there. You can see that the flight path vector is pointing right at the touchdown zone, which is exactly what we want. Default viewpoint representative. Yes, pretty close, Vinny. I mean, eye alignment marker is essentially right there. So yes, it's pretty much right on the money. 500 feet. Where's the auto brake knob? There isn't one. Doesn't have an auto brake. You are the brake. Okay, RMP are upper, and we're gonna go mist again. So, I'm gonna get ready to kill the auto thrust and toga. Toga. Auto thrust.
Set go around thrust.
I'm gonna tell the first officer to set the go around thrust.
Go around thrust set.
Flaps 20, please.
Positive rate. Flaps 20.
And gear up.
Gear up.
And again, I'm just focusing on the pitch cue here.
Set FMS nav. Flaps 20 indicated. Gear up indicated. Set FLC 200 knots.
Okay, and just fly the flight director, and you're gonna be good. Okay, I'm happy. Airplane's trimmed. Give it to the autopilot. Give the ATS. Good stuff. RMPAR missed approach. So it's because the missed approach has curved segments on it. And I'm also gonna go and give speed control back to the FMS. So just push perf twice to get to the perf top level menu. Resume 230. Speed is again under FMS control. I'm gonna retract the flaps the rest of the way. And there we go. Yeah, it does some stuff that even an A320 can't do. The reason why it's, by the way, showing a gray or brown, what do you call it, ground indication here, because we are fairly high on the pitch, like above 12 degrees. It will revert to showing conventional ground. Now it goes back to synthetic vision. That's basically to make sure that your ground reference does not disappear from view. Alrighty, 230 knots, and just a little bit overshot. The auto thrust is pulling back. And here we are. Radius fix supported, obviously, for AR procedures. So here's a AR missed approach with automatic guidance, all the good stuff. Oh, you love the Challenger. Once you try BizJets, you can't go back. 5,500 feet per minute, and yeah, and we're not even very light. And usually you'd land with about 1,000 pounds less fuel. It would actually be even faster. There's actually a motivation. I kind of haven't done it right. On day 3, we'll do a proper flight more correctly. Normally, what you do is you either set takeoff thrust for the go around, initially actually for approach, or you would set a reduced thrust target. So you could do like this. So target 90, activate 90, and that actually pulls back your N1 target for the throttle limiter. It actually turns from magenta to blue to tell you that you've selected it yourself. Dog90, thanks for follow. Shadow 2108, thanks for follow. Pnas 10. Wow, there's a lot of people following. And if I want to go back to automatic thrust selection here based on temperature, it can either click on either one of these or it can clear that out. That returns me back to the default mode, which is climb, or I can go something different. Radar contact, friends, thanks for following. Clear out my target. So this lets you select if you don't want to have such a rocket climb on missed approach. you can go ahead and on approach, you can select a lower thrust setting here. Okay, this is a direct entry, which is the most boring type of entry. It's just showing us where, hey, you're just going to turn over and be done with it with the entry. Does it have a ram air turbine? Yes. Or it does have, yes. And the little pull handle for it is right here. If I pull this back, well, I can pull it back a little bit, but if I pull it back much more, it would drop out and we'd have, you'd think that we've got a propeller attached to the aircraft, because essentially we would. The ram air turbine on the Challenger is right here. Where are you? The ram air turbine door. Essentially right there. And fall out and spin around in the wind, but it is very, very loud in the cockpit, so you would think that all of a sudden we're flying a Piper. Is this ETOP certified? Yes, I think ETOP's 3 hours, 180. Quick flyby by any chance? Here you go. Yeah, that's a flyby, I suppose. Will this work in VR? JCYYZ, yes, it will work in VR. It should anyway. Although there are things that we have not focused on VR currently, so there might be some, you know, issues initially. Alrighty, so we're in hold. What we're actually going to do here is we're going to make a diversion. I wanted to show, so this was an AR approach, right? So this was just us using what they call barometric approach mode, or barometric vertical guidance. So if you go depart, when you select the approach, you'll see it says here baro. Does it show wind data? Yes, it does. It just have nil wind right now. How's performance? Right, I'm gonna get to Swag Basket. It's performing pretty good. What is the VNE of the CL650? Max Mach is Mach 0.85, and a CL650 pilot noted since you're going to be flying in RBSM space, Mach 0.83 is by regulations. Performance wise, you want to see performance? Okay. Here's performance. So this is the amount of CPU time taken up by, and the amount of frame rate, I guess, taken up by the airplane. I'm currently running on 42 FPS, give or take 45. Kind of varies, to be honest. Yes, that's by regulation, by law. Also max 1,500 feet per minute climb rate or descent rate. Or descent rate, I'm not sure, but climb rate for sure. Right, it cannot do PTT yet. Yeah, and I'm running at 4K. You don't see it on stream, but I'm running at 4K and also encoding and streaming from the same machine. And this is Orbex True Earth Oregon HD. So we're giving the old machine a good workout here. Use Vulkan. Yes, I do. Vulkan on Linux. Okay, let's do a diversion here because I wanted to show you LPV approaches. So what I was talking about earlier, this is a baro type approach, right? But yes, it does have TCAS 2 version 7.1. using RSO given the default his sim is a surprise. Yes, bio surprise, eh? Surprise. Anyway, so we're currently in a hold. Let's say that we've considered our options. The airport here is a no-go. So what I was talking about, baro guidance, that means that the vertical path is constructed using the barometric altimeter for final approach. But what if I had my altimeter either misset, I had, you know, the wrong barometric altimeter setting, or another possibility is what if it's a change in temperature deviation, that kind of stuff. Different temperature, right? Unless there was a fixed page. Oh yeah, absolutely. We can quite easily, let me show you how we could do a diversion. Say for instance, we're gonna go push perf twice here. That's gonna take you to the perf menu. Fuel management. Fuel management page here shows our current status. Second page shows our burns and how much we've consumed and stuff since we last started the engine and stuff. And finally, we've got on page 3, we've got the trip computer. So let's say that instead of staying here, we want to fly to Klamath Falls, KLMT. So I'm going to go from, I don't want to clear this out, go from PPOS to KLMT, Klamath Falls. It's 53 miles away. And let's say we're going to go 350 knots. And we'll be burning about 2,200 an hour. So means we'll require 340 pounds of fuel. Do we have enough? Yeah, we got enough. But the nice thing is, this lets you compute an alternate scenario. Say, for instance, you're flying, you know, across the Atlantic. Your mission is from Teterboro to, let's say, Gatwick, right? And suddenly your customer comes in, barges in, that says, hey, I don't want to go to Gatwick. I was on sat phone with company. They want us in 1 hour in let's see, Paris, right? Paris Le Bourget, LFBP, BP or PB? No, it's PB. Voidfish, thanks for follow-up. So you could quite easily punch in a new destination. Either take your current speed or take your planned speed. And let's say we were flying 420 or 440 knots and we had a fuel burn. It would give us how much fuel we needed to burn to get there, and we can then quite easily do a quick calculation, make sure that we can actually get there. So yes, you can do quite a lot. If I don't do anything, by the way, this will just pull whatever numbers I had in there previously, or whatever is the current status. You're required to have the Navigraph service to access those charts on PFD. Lucian, it's if you want Navigraph charts, yes, but there are FAA charts that are free. They're not geo-referenced, but free. They're not quite as nice, and you don't cover everywhere, but free. Yes, and there's also AutoRouter. For AutoRouter, you have to set up a free account on AutoRouter as well. And that's using local government charts, which are varying quality. So we've got 3 total chart systems options. Okay, so I wanted to go to Klamath Falls. We know that we can make it quite easily. So I'm just going to go KLMT. 117 miles full trip distance. Good stuff. Between RVS and Bombardier limitation. I'm not aware of the FAA speed limit in RVSM. That could be. Okay, so just prompting me, execute flight plan modification. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go after the hold here at Cutter. Let's pick an en route point just so you can see offset waypoints. Let's see, Rogue Valley, Klamath Falls, Jexham, Seagun. Yeah, sure. Let's pick a couple of points. By the way, you can tie your keyboard to the airplane. When you click into the window, when it blinks here, it's taking keyboard input directly from you. And Seagun, basically sort of building a little bit of an en route portion just so I can show you some features. And after that, I want to, let me just quickly check on here so I can pick the correct approach. RNAV GPS 32. There we go. RNAV GPS 32 via lesser. Sweet. So, depart arrive. We gotta push it twice because it thinks that we're still very close to Medford, so it thinks that we're gonna return. Go to arrive. RNAV 32. And notice now it says WAS LPV. Yeah, that's... I'm sorry, yeah, I thought it was RV something. Yeah, that's a Challenger thing. So, RNAV LPV, I'm sorry, WAS LPV, that means that the final approach is not going to be using barometric reference. It's not going to be affected by altimetry errors, but it's going to fly using correct elevation data. It's using geometric elevation data. And I said we want from lesser here. So from lesser, legs, and I'm just going to close up the discontinuity here, just clear the disco. Vegan, lesser, sweet. Execute. We're still in the hold. You'll notice it hasn't exited the hold because anytime you do a modification, it copies out whatever you've got whatever leg you're on currently, so it doesn't give you a sudden swing, over to some different direction or something like that. So let's go ahead and we'll cruise up there at 18,000 feet. Just get a little bit faster there. And yeah, we could go VNAV setup, check my cruise speed. That's going to be 300 knots. Looks good on my side here. And we can climb up at 300. That's fine as well. If I'm happy with the way it is, when a CPDLC in ACARs, Hoppy comes up fully, blah, blah. Okay. It's a little bit more complicated. So ACARs and CPDLC are two different things. We do have ACARs functionality in the airplane already. Quite a lot of it actually. And CPDLC, Hoppy is not the only way to do CPDLC, but we're eventually going to support Hoppy as well. Auto mend the flight plan, or you have to manually mend. There's some variability in amendments to flight plans. Hoppy's method of sending flight plan is a little bit messy, I know for sure. So I'll think about that. I can't guarantee currently how we're going to do that. Cool. If I'm happy with the way my flight plan is set up, if I go and push exit hold here, exit armed, execute change, you'll notice it deletes most of the hold except for the turn in. And if I was on the outbound leg, it would immediately turn back inbound. If I was on the inbound already, it would delete more. It would basically just show me any legs that are remaining on the hold to fly. Is pilot CPDLC supported? It will be, Thomas 379. Kind of helps that I wrote the thing, so yes. Since I wrote both, it's just a matter of meeting them together. Save feature with position state panel. Yes, Nevada rocks. I'll show you that tomorrow. You'll see quite a lot of that. What about the flight plan? Yes, it can. Breedle Juice, welcome. Welcome aboard. So I've armed the exit here. I'm sorry, I've selected the exit. If I wanted to, I could reselect it back. If I didn't want to exit the hold, I changed my mind or change the clearance. So do that. I can do that as many times as I want. Exit, hold, arm hold, whatever. So now we're just on the inbound track. It will exit the hold by first overflying the fix. So it'll do a slight overshoot, and that'll rejoin the path here. Alrighty, so we're in the hold here still. You'll notice that as soon as we exit the hold, speed's going to bump up to 250 knots. That's because the FMC is going to adjust the auto thruster or speed target, because we're in a hold speed at this altitude is 230. About 14,000 is I think 265 or something like that. Alrighty. So, come on airplane, get me out of here. By the way, the airplane is safe to time accelerate with, so if you want to use time acceleration, that's good. Not ground speed acceleration, that's going to confuse it, but time acceleration is okay to use. Generally, it should be anyway. And since I've, by the way, changed my destination, it automatically picked up the new destination here on the charts. I'm going to also quickly adjust my landing field elevation since I know Klamath Falls is at 4,100 feet. So I'm going to set that. And I'm going to show you a... Let's see, what's the temperature up here? I'm just going to go quickly swap to a real weather. And then we're going to swap back. And I'm going to remove clouds because I don't like clouds. Apply, and then we're going to go back to manually configure, and I'm going to get rid of you, and I'm going to get rid of you. Actually, I'm going to drop the temperature a lot lower. There we go, slight wind shift. Airplane's a little bit unhappy. So you wanted to see what winds look like. There we go, there's the wind indication. You have NavGraph. Well, for NavGraph charts, yes. So it does support Hoppy. No, it doesn't currently. Zaps, yeah. Certified before RBSM was not designed to meet accuracy or RBSM speeds at speeds above Mach 0.3. Manguras, thanks for the kind words. Okay, I'm going to go and roll the altitude up here to 18,000, and we're just going to go ahead and punch it. Not really the way you're supposed to be doing this, but I don't care. Obviously, you're going to be flying it a lot better than I am. So we are actually going to swap the power target here. Thrust limit to climb. Alrighty. And yeah, here we go. Speed 300 knots or above 10,000 feet. So the airplane's going to gently pitch down. Actually going to disarm the thrust reversers here. A bit of a crab here. Turn off landing lights. Oof, pretty stiff wind here. 68, 70 knots. You can see how far the flight path vector is away from the nose. It's also indicated on here. This green circle, that's your ground track. And still doing 4,500 feet per minute. How much the simulation system matches to the real aircraft? 95, 80%. It's not a percentage metric, but this thing is probably the closest thing you'll find to a real aircraft anywhere. Because of the architecture. These are not just displays. We've got essentially the airplane reproduced almost down to the wire. So if, for instance, you want to see... Here's the air data computer data bus coming out of the air data computer out of ADC1, LADC1, and the following devices are receiving on it. The HSTCU, the horizontal stabilizer trim control unit, then the input-output concentrators. There's 4 of them. They're sort of like data routers. And they then route this data out to other systems. DCP, that's, CCP, that's this guy here. That guy's sending keystrokes over to the MFD and PFD. We got the communications and management unit. We've got the data concentrator units. These guys are mostly sending airframe data. Things, for example, like hydraulic pressures. You got obviously the FMCs here that are sending a ton of data. Heads up guidance computer ain't sending much. Inertial reference systems 1 through 3, as we splurged on the options. It's a real study level aircraft. Yes, this is probably the most study you'll ever find anywhere. Okay, I wanted to show the offset. You see here, offset function. We can go ahead and do a right 5-mile offset. R5, you'll see it shows the offset on there. Execute, turns magenta. And the airplane's going to scoot over to the right. How's the performance? Pretty good, I'd say. I think you'll like it. In terms of frames. Well, currently I've got 49 FPS. When I'm outside, I'm 48, 50. Mostly the terrain. When I'm looking up, it's 60 FPS. It's trying to get on the track here. There we go. Leveling back out. You'll see the path here, the offset ends. Photo is running 4K as well, streaming off the same PC. Yes. You want plug-in time? Come on, explain. There we go. 1600. For example, if you are concerned that this is too much, the HUD takes a little bit of timing. There was about 100, 200 milliseconds. The most is actually taken up by the synthetic vision system here. So now we're about 1 millisecond per frame for the airplane systems. Now we're 900 microseconds. So yeah, the synthetic vision takes, give or take 600, 700 milliseconds to do. The avionics were written in JavaScript. Would the FPS performance of this plane be poor? Oh boy, would they be horrible? Would it be horrible? Will the throttle function like the TBM? Probably not quite the same. For comparison, the A300 takes 8. Yeah. So you'll notice that the dotted line here for the track offset ends. That's because this portion beyond there is, and it's even telling us, offset will end. That's because we are entering a terminal approach procedure. So we are entering an approach or star. That's when the, I'm sorry, an approach, not star. I think it'll keep one through the star, but it will not keep it into the approach. On an approach, your offset will automatically terminate. You can obviously do it by clearing out the offset. Oh, there we go, offset terminated. But it does it automatically once it sequences into the approach. You're really not supposed to be getting into an offset that close to the airport. That's kind of bad piloting, but yes, it does support slops, so strategic lateral offset operations possible. Is there an option? Yes. Yes, there is AM aviation. You'll see a lot more about that tomorrow. We're going to do a lot of talk about that. And now it's returning back to my original path here. Most important thing I want to know, does it have wing flex? I'm stupid off. Right now it actually doesn't. We have it planned to add later. Does it have an RTA? You mean radio tuning panel? RTU? Radio tuning? And what's RTA? Not entirely sure now. Yeah, it's a required time of arrival. No, that's an Airbus thing. Correct, yes, it's CL650 is the... I mean, if you look at the wing, it's pretty short and stubby. There we go, bringing it in. And pretty soon, you see there the snowflake. Actually, I'm above transition altitude, so it kind of was blinking at me the whole time, and I didn't pay attention. Will it come with a paint kit? Probably not on release, but we plan on publishing one very soon. Yes, we do want to add a paint kit. Oh, I forgot to reset my preselector. There we go, V-path. V-bat piloting again. And it's pulled the speed back for the descent. Today, isn't it? That isn't a Today stream. How do you... What was the question? How do you load passengers or something? You'll see. You'll see a lot. You'll see tomorrow. There goes the VNAV, YOLOing it again. Yes, that's pretty much how it goes, yeah. So this would actually be giving me quite the tailwind. Now it's blinking at me again because I'm standard below transition altitude, or transition level. And this one's already in pressure mode, or altitude mode. 19 OSI 81. I'm sorry for what? What was the name of the optimal package for London City? So there's an optional STC that is the steep approach capability. I'm not sure if it has like a commercial name. I want to see the secret features you tested. Tomorrow, La Capitano. Can you pre-select altimeter settings without switching out? Yes, you can. If I go standard here, I can pre-select a setting here below. And when I'm happy with it, just push the button and it'll change. I'm kind of barreling down at a very high speed, so I'm going to pull a little bit of brake here. Right, people were asking about speed brakes and stuff. The Challenger actually has two separate systems. We're going to quickly go through that once we land. I got to bring the speed back because I'm kind of flying down the approach like a madman here. And I'm kind of running out of time to talk about stuff. I'm going to bring the speed back to 210 so we got a little bit more to talk, time to talk. And yeah, the speed brake D10 has multiple D10s. And you can see that up here. The inner ones are ground spoilers only. Yeah, the steep approach, yes. 19 OSI 81, yes, we do plan on adding it. With the real wind here, it looks like it would have quite the tailwind, so I'm just going to go ahead and quickly reset weather here. Yeah, get rid of you. Yeah, I have a tailwind and stuff, so I'm not going to do that. Whoa, hello there. Alrighty, that should get us back on track. Take the range down here a little bit. Okay, and so what did I want to talk here? Right, LPV approaches, right? Yes, it's gonna get some features. 2965 Ribera, it looked like, yeah. Oh, really? 2965. Well, in that case, what if I didn't set the barrel correctly? In fact, what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna show you. We've got a correctly simulated GPS system with tons and tons of ins and outs. So I can see the current status of all the satellites around me. I can see the status of the WAS network and my position on it, my current degree of system availability, and it's taking all that into account. So currently I am in SBAS precision approach mode. I am currently on the WAS service. This is the guarantees that the WAS service provides me. So we are horizontal precision limit 10 meters, vertical 37 meters, which meets my approach requirement. Currently is 556 meters or 1,823 feet. 0.3 nautical miles is the approach requirement. And one little detail you notice here, GNSS altitude. This is the altitude, what they call geopotential altitude. Where actually, if I pause it here, I'm actually at 10,000 feet, but my altimeter is showing 10,400. So that's the catch. You'll see we're essentially thinking that we're higher, but we're actually too low. We're flying way too low, and this is actually a concern for terrain clearance. Yes, it does for EGNOS as well. So you might have noticed here, GPS, EGNOS. Now I'm not in Europe, so there's no actual pointer on there. I'm not currently receiving EGNOS, but yes, EGNOS is also simulated. And this is real time, by the way. So this is current date and time. So this is the HPL, the horizontal precision limit map for EGNOS, and there's also a VPL map. VPL, there we go. This is VPL. Yeah, if you were in some of their less integral areas, your reception would actually suffer, and it might actually declare that you might not be able to comply with constraints. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mash approach mode here. Approach LNAV1, and notice it says LPV arm here. I'm gonna pre-select my selector lower. 6,300 is the limit. So we're essentially, this is a situation that's pretty common. It's called a misset altimeter. Your altimeter is set too high, 2992, and the actual barometric QNH is slower. That means we are underflying. They call it high to low, look at below. So we're flying from high pressure to low. So we are now kind of in danger zone. See, it now goes ang. That's one of the features of LPV mode. Angular guidance mode. In angular mode, these change from the star, from the snowflake, to a diamond to sort of mimic that it's like an ILS. You saw that when we were on the ILS, these were green diamonds. Green diamonds means, diamond means angular deviation, whereas when it's the snowflake symbol, it means constant deviation. So it would show us a number here. There we go. Glide path. You'll notice what will happen here. All of a sudden, the airplane's starting to pitch up. And that's the LPV mode starting to take effect. So you see that it actually is flying too high, is flying above the runway here because we were originally too low. We thought we were good because we were initially on barometric guidance, but now it's starting to blend through into GPS vertical guidance. So it's now starting to look at this. And this is basically designed to save you from flying into the ground. Sort of. Just going to cancel that. This approach is 8,600, so I'm just going to set that. And I should set the minimums here as well. Minimums are LPV 4387 or 292 radio. Well, let's go for radio today, just because I've got misset altimeter. Actually, I can show you radio capability. 292 is the radio altimeter minimum. Enable U, and I'm going to swap over to RA minimums. And now it says min 292 RA. And if I compare my vertical deviation here, Circus, it says 5360 is what we should be according to the chart. Watch what the barometric altimeter is going to say, and we'll compare it to the GPS unit. I got it cluttered up with stuff here. So, coming close to Circus. So 5360 is what we're looking for. Just about to sequence. And just as it sequences, I'm going to pause it and we can study this a little bit. There we go. And there we go. Just swapped. So, just overflew Circus, about 100 feet lower according to GNSS. There's some wiggle room with that. But you'll notice we are about 200 feet higher on the barometric reading. So if we were flying the barometric altimeter and flying Circus to cross it at 5360, we would actually be 200 feet lower than what we thought. You know, the approach path would be about here somewhere. That is the danger zone. That's the thing essentially that's going to catch you out in, 250 feet or 200 feet, give or take. Our minimums are only, give or take, 300 feet here. So that's the thing that's going to change you from flying directly in at the runway here. Now we're flying right at the touchdown zone, so that's all good. If we were flying, it's actually, might need to check with the terrain elevation. Sometimes X-plane terrain is a little bit messy. Right, yeah, sorry. I forgot to configure and all. Why aren't you guys yelling at me? See, I have to go around again. Okay, let's go around.
500. Set go around thrust. Positive rate. Go around thrust set. Flaps 20.
Flaps 20. Gear up.
Gear up. Set FMS nav.
So we're already on FMS nav, but it's always doing, it's going to tell you that it's trying to do that.
Set FLC 200 knots. Gear up indicated.
Alrighty. Gonna go to autopilot, flight level change. And I'm gonna take it back to speed control by the FMS. Here, good stuff. And I'm gonna retract the flap the rest of the way. Will we be able to see the flare in the stream? Yes. Okay, so I gotta redo it again. I forgot. I completely forgot to configure you. I was just talking to you guys. 650 isn't single pilot. Very much not so, Dipper Dolphin. No, this is actually, when you're flying at single pilot, it's less realistic. That's why we added the automated first officer. It's actually gonna, you'll see it on in the coming days, where it will actually help you with during the entire flight, mostly configure the airplane for you, so you as a pilot can focus on flying, and you're gonna let the first officer take care of the stuff. Visual approach. Yes, we could do that. Yeah, good idea. God forbid some expand on the information. So yeah. See, I was completely oblivious here. Visual approach. Good stuff. Let's go ahead and let's say that we got vectors here. So let's go and turn to a heading of 160. Descend and maintain 8,000. And I'm going to turn off VNAV here. I'm going to take manual speed control 210. Let's not start arguing. God forbid somebody expand on that information. Cool. So, the FMS also has the ability to give you a custom constructed visual approach. So, you've got Klamath Falls here. The way that these approach lists here are listed out. Let's just show you one for when we don't have anything selected. If you have nothing selected here, when you do have something selected here, that selection is always shown on the first line. But normally this list is actually, you'll notice it's not necessarily sorted alphabetically, because we got B above V but below R and that kind of stuff. No, this is instead sorted by precision. And this is a setting, or this is essentially an algorithm worked out by the manufacturer. So Collins basically says ILS is most precise, then you got RNAV approaches, after that comes a back course, VOR DME to a runway, and then finally we've got VORs to non-specific runways, and at the very, very bottom you've got under a separate header here called visual. And these are non-instrument approaches, but we can select those. We can basically construct our own approach, so to speak. So if I go and select runway 32, now it's kind of reselected the rest of the approach here. Yeah, sure, actually that'll do. Kind of resequence the approach back for me. I'm gonna go direct. Didn't want to pick you up and put you down right away. Reselect. Oh, hang on, I'm with the wrong airport, aren't I? Cancel. Arrive. Yeah, I was at the wrong airport. Oops. How does it do, for example, 2223 into RJTT? We can have a look at that later, but in amount of work. Yeah. Which one's the runway that I wanted to fly? I want to fly RNAV, or sorry, I wanted to fly visual for runway 32 here at Klamath Falls. There we go. Now it's looking good. Incorrect. Runway extension 32. Now this is a non-database waypoint. Okay. Challenger 650 Charlie Lima, fly heading 130. Actually, make it 140. And I can select a custom runway extension. Actually, let me show you on. I'm gonna get rid of the charts here. You just push charts and it'll return you back. By the way, the format, it looks north up. This is actually the plan mode. You can change those by pushing here on lower format. And I'm currently centered on the airplane. If I go into MFD Advance, I'm on the wrong screen here. kind of using two sides of the avionics in a manner that is not quite the way you're supposed to do this, but whatever. Yeah. We can actually select our, we can select a custom extension here. So, go ahead and push 3-2. And how much do we want? Do we want 8 miles? An 8-mile extension sound good to me. Good, and we'll just go direct to the extension there. Execute nav. And actually, I didn't push execute. There we go. Alrighty, 8,000. It actually even gives us our top of descent point. It will actually guide us if we wanted to. It will guide us all the way down to the runway in VNAV mode. You can just go VNAV. Now, you're not supposed to use this as an instrument approach. This is just an advisory. Okay, so don't use this. This is not legally an instrument approach. I'm going to arm. The thrust reverser is actually going to start the APU because this time we're actually going to land. Bring the speed back to 180. So I've got time to talk and land. Flaps 20. Lights are on. Signs are on. Good stuff. There we go. 5 seconds before top of descent, it's going to blink at us and go pop, pop. There it is. Coming down. The Marcus. JC, thanks for follow. VPath. Coming down. So we're about 10 miles from the field. We should, at this point, 4,000 feet. This is the selector for pressurization. And we check on here. Cabin is at 4,100 feet. That's perfect. Just about on point. And yeah, we're basically at this point, the cabin is depressurized to the landing field elevation. It's going to actually get a little bit lower. It's typically targets 200 feet below the target. And then it's basically just going to reduce the delta P down to 0. Now, the trick is, in VPath mode, it will stop at the pre-selector. There's a way to avoid that. You can either set your pre-selector down to the sort of minimum descent altitude, or the slightly riskier version. Some operators may permit you to do this, some might not. You can just roll it through your altitude above you, and then it will not capture. Okay, speed 160. Got the sequence. This is our runway extension. 160. Actually, I'm going to take it to 150 here. Select flaps 30, gear down. We still demonstrate on the misset altimeter. If not, please reset to 2965. Yeah, we would actually fly a little bit wrong here. You'd see that we'd be landing a little bit short of the runway, so I'm going to reset my altimeter here to 2965. There's actually a setting right now. It mirrors over to the other side, and we're basically simulating the other pilot following your setting. But there's an option here under user settings where you can split the two sides apart if you want completely, fully isolated sides of the avionics. And you always have to set your standby manually. So that's one of the pilots has to do that as an extra step. 1156. 2 FCOM volumes are 19. Yeah. Can you show the wear and tear thing, please? There isn't currently one. Stay rack. And yeah, this is visual approaching. Visual approaches, I guess. Let's see. Our new landing field landing weight predicted by the FMS is 30.6. I still have the old weights and speeds in there, probably. So I'm going to reset those. 30.6. Klamath Falls runway 32. And we are something like 3 degrees outside. Let's get us V speeds. Just going to accept those. There's a whole procedure again on how to do this correctly. I'm just going to quickly whiz through it because we're sort of running out of time here. Okay, coming back down to minimum approach speed. Flaps 45. We've got ground spoilers armed. Speed brakes are retracted. You'll see when we touch down and speed and reversers are armed. All the other stuff here is looking good.
1,000.
turn on you. Actually, you would transfer your bleeds over to the APU. Normally on a landing. Okay, we've achieved field elevation minus 200 feet. So 4,100 is the field elevation, and the cabin automatically sends a little bit below that, and then on touchdown, it's going to repressurize or depressurize or whatever. That is, again, you can see the whole pressurization system here on a giant pop-up. Watch the valves operate and move. They actually do move. Because the cabin pressurization controller does its thing. Cool.
500.
Focus time. And if you've got your throttles physically, if you disconnect ATS, you'll see you'll get little ghost throttles there. It'll let you recapture and then actually start taking effect. I'm going to take off the flight director, get rid of this, and we'll just go ahead and land it as a pro. Kind of wind up a little bit off to the side of the runway. There we go. Going a little bit fast here. There we go.
50, 40, 30.
Flare, a little bit, not too much. Take power out. Kind of hit the power too late. There we go. Speed brakes up manually. Doesn't have automatic speed brakes, and thrust reversers full blast. The fail here is the auto throttle system, basically telling us it cannot operate when you've got thrust reversers out. There we go. 60 knots, thrust reversers coming back in. And we can stow them. And did I want to turn off here? I actually did. Oops. Missed that exit. Not a problem. I'm going to cancel, disconnect the auto throttle. I'm going to actually take my one quick pause here. This here selector selects where you've got the engine indication and crew alerting system displayed. Normally, you always have to have it displayed somewhere. Currently, it's on the left MFD, so it's basically locked in here. This is the ICAS. We can split it up into both PFDs, and then I can use my side here on the MFD as a chart display. I'm going to unpause, select it over to that side. Now we've got ICAS split between left and right, or actually compactified on the PFDs. Now I can select charts on my side here, and it's still showing the old airport. There we go, airport chart, and here's an exit that I wanted to take. All right. Cool. So, stow spoilers, stow flaps, landing lights off, anti-collision is off, all the other lights are good. Let's do a quick replay on a landing. Why not? So you could suspect that you built the thing. There's the thing you talked about related to the wear and the brakes and oil, please. Text rear rack tomorrow. Cool. Let's do a quick replay, just for funsies. A little bit further. You can see where is like runway position is like here. No, that's tower. There's runway. There we go. Do I have an HLIS report? Yes, I do. I had to pull the power out a little bit too late. So let's go back up and give it one more good side view. Just got more light on it. Great, don't even know what that means. So yeah, we can watch the trailing links compress. Yeah, just barely. What altitude? Typically 50 feet, Sioux Flyer. I was just a little bit slow there. At least the Lagrange effect involved in upon release. At least. You don't even know what's in this thing yet. You haven't seen 10% of it. I can barely scratch the surface on a stream here. Don't worry, you'll see. You'll see a lot. Come on, Toto, focus. Drive the thing, drive. So, as soon as I stow the flight spoilers, the ground spoilers are going to follow. And then the flaps. Flappity flap flaps. Okay, on pause here, and let's just quickly park it up, and we're gonna wrap it up for today's stream. But yeah, maybe it just shows the APU only sound from the outside. Soon, yeah. We can shut down the engines from the outside. How about that? You'll hear the APU. Alright, so we're already fixed. I'll promo there's still some talking about it in our group, so we're not ready to release it yet. Because we frankly don't know yet. Not for sure anyway, we do have our ideas, but, you know. Yeah, let's just turn off the taxi light here, lighty light. We're using Vulkan VRAM profiler just to check VRAM usage of the aircraft. Let me show that to you in just a sec. VRAM profiler, there you go. And high textures. If I had max textures, it would be more like 2.5 gigs, give or take. Cool. So, brakes on. Go to the charts here. I'm going to set you back over. Okay, so let me check. Audio is good, I hope. I'm gonna make it a little bit louder so you can hear the APU, I guess. Just gonna shut off the generators, heaters, windshields, all that other stuff. And yeah, shut down both engines so you can see. Okay. Got this switched off. User interface. All right, yeah, that was over in here. But no, that one. Sorry about that. What? Was it hand signals on the left? What was that indeed? Cool. Shut down engine. Left engine. Right engine. You didn't see that. Did I mind trick? Indeed. You'll see all about it tomorrow. I promise you that. Door animation preview would be great. But you'll see that tomorrow. Don't worry. Cool. So here's the APU sound. Sweet. Okay, folks. So let me wrap it up here, and I'll see you tomorrow for a stream. Probably going to be a little bit later. Probably going to start about 22:30 Zulu. HLIS report. Right. You wanted to see the HLIS report. So this is the hard landing indicator right here. That's a bit of a mistextured piece. We got to fix that. View log. If I hold this down, 0.185. So there's your HLIS report. Cool. Talk to you later, folks. And tomorrow, probably going to start about 22:30 Zulu to make it a little bit more convenient for the Americans. And yeah, I'll see you later. Everybody take care and cheers.